Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on digital marketing. Thank you very much for joining in. We're very happy to note that more and more of you are joining in larger numbers every time we're doing this, and do share your feedback if you have any. In terms of the series of webinars that we've done during this lockdown period, we were supposed to be coming to the end of the lockdown, and we thought that one thing that we've all learned is we cannot live without digital tools, and we need to make sure that our businesses are more honed and geared towards using these digital tools. And digital marketing is one of the ways that we've reached out to you to get you on this webinar today. And I think we all can do a better job by learning from an expert in terms of how to do this better, so we can attract our audiences and our customers in larger numbers. So we have Mr. Pritesh Patel, and thank you very much to Jigar to getting us introduced to Mr. Pritesh Patel, who is a founder and coach at Basecamp Digital. He has got an exemplary background. He's been an independent entrepreneur and a trainer right now, but before this, he was heading the FMCG and retail verticals at Facebook India and working with the top FMCG companies in India. He was also the MD for India and Middle East at Comely Media, which has been a large media house. After his stint with Comely Media as an MD, Pritesh, donned the hat of a marketing whiz. He's got 17 years plus of industry experience on his sleeve. And being a professional in the field, he decided that it was integral for him to impart the knowledge that he has gained so far and to start Basecamp Digital. He's been conducting training for a number of companies like the Bennett Coulon Group, including Times Internet, Zerka, and Network 18. So we're extremely happy to have him. He's also been a professor with a large number of MBA institutes. And thank you so much, Pritesh, for spending your valuable time and giving us your insights, which we're really eager to listen to you too. Thank you so much, and over to you, Pritesh.
Thanks a lot, Rohan. Thanks a lot, Jigar, and thanks a lot to KCF team. Really appreciate for calling me. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to waste too much time. I hope I'm audible to all. I'm just going to jump in because I know there are a lot of things to discuss right now in terms of digital ecosystem. So I'm directly going to jump into my presentation and not going to waste too much time. So let me just start with my PPT. Yeah. So the topic for today is understanding digital media ecosystem, and purposely we wrote it from basic to advanced because I know a lot of people over here are going to be the experts in digital, but at the same time, a lot of freshers, a lot of homemakers, a lot of students who are looking to get into a career in digital marketing. That's why we have kept it as basic to advanced level, but I'll be happy to answer all the advanced level as well as basic level questions in the end. To start with, the way forward, how I'm going to keep it is, we're going to talk about Indian advertising industry because that's the most critical piece. And then we move on to the traditional media ecosystem. When we say traditional, is more about your print, TV, radio, hoarding, cinemas of the world. We'll talk briefly about that. Then we jump in directly to the digital ad ecosystem in India. When I go down to this slide, I swear on God, a lot of people who are starting their career in digital or starting to know digital, they will not really understand, but it's my job to make it simplified. Then we talk about evolution of digital media, how digital media has really evolved over the last so many years, at least a decade or 2 decades. And why is digital marketing, internet marketing important? Why it is so much required? Obviously not only during the COVID time, but even before that, why it was very critical and why it was really growing. And then something I'm going to crisp into something as components of digital marketing. This is a very critical slide because after this slide, I'm going to take each of the different components of digital marketing. So all the people who are part of the sessions right now, what I would suggest is when we go out to each component, identify which is critical from your perspective. If there is a student out there, you understand which component, like in search engine marketing or social media, which is critical for them, and then dig dive more into it. So that's very critical. And from a business perspective, see the different components you will see on the slide, identify which is critical for your business, and then take it forward, right? So that's, I'm going to talk about that. And most important piece, as Rohan said, right, digital marketing is definitely important, but in the time of COVID-19, what is really happening with digital and how people who are non-digital people also are equipping to the digital. Like right now, what we are doing is a webinar that itself clearly shows, right? Right now, I'm just taking a count and I guess more than 300 people are actually watching me. And the slides, right? So that clearly talks about how digital marketing and the growth of, right? So let me move on to the industry perspective, digital industry. Here I'm just trying to show you that advertising media spends. So what the ads you see across TV, news, print, all the different channels is across over here. So right now on the top you see the 2019, 68,000 crores what the kind of media spends across the advertising industry. In 2022 we are expected to be around 94,000. And by 2025, it's going to be 1,33,000. That's the kind of growth the media spend is going to happen in Indian media house, right? That's the advertising industry of India. So let's take a call and see what's happening with digital. So digital industry in 2019, we 13,000 crore. 2022, it is expected to be around 28,000 crore. And by 2025, we are going to be expecting around 58,000 crore, right? So definitely this is the most medium, this is one of the medium which whether you are a student or you're an entrepreneur or you're owning a shop in somewhere in Andheri or anywhere in India or across the globe, or you're a big company, you cannot let digital go out of your hand, right? Because this is the most important medium. And I'm going to briefly talk about how this is getting momentum, right? So by the way, just to share, right now we are saying 2019, 13,000 crores is the digital industry. When I started my career in digital industry, that's way back in 2006, the industry size were only 600 crore. So you can imagine just in 14 years, the jump has from 600 crores, it has gone to around 13,600 crores. And in just next 5 years, it's going to be around 58,000 crores. That's the kind of growth we're going to see in digital industry, right? This clearly shows, right? TV by far the biggest, followed by print, and then it's what digital is all we see. So that's the kind of number we are seeing. Print, definitely in the COVID situation, really tough time. I was talking to friends at print. I heard that a lot of people have stopped getting print papers at their home newspaper. That's really hitting the industry very badly. In fact, I'm sure all of us are getting WhatsApp PDF of all the newspaper, right? So it's going to change the consumer behavior after we move out of the COVID. So that's something very interesting. Television right now is very, very strong, which is around 39%. Looks very strong. But the report clearly says, and my calculation says, by 2023-24, digital spend is going to cross television, right? So technically, by 2024, if you're going to see the slide, digital will be number one, followed by television and the rest, right? So that's how digital is going to be important. Now let's understand the spend-wise, right? So there are a lot of people who are into industry. They might be from FMCG, e-commerce, auto, consumer durable, entertainment. So just to give you an understanding that out of the 13,000, 14,000 crores which happened in 2019, 27% was by an FMCG company, right, for FMCG industry, followed by 19% in e-commerce, then consumer durable, BFSI, 10%. But what I'm seeing is after automobiles is only 7%. So what I'm going to see is after the COVID-19 situation, this number is really going to change. Number of FMCG, e-commerce, BFSI will definitely grow, but the numbers like auto, telecom, retail, this number, media and entertainment, all this number are just going to go up and up. That's the kind of situation we're going to see in next few months' time, right? So let's understand what is critical from Indian digital advertising. So if somebody is thinking to jump into this bandwagon or you're into a business, what is really critical? The digital is really vast. What are things I need to concentrate from an Indian perspective? So what we say is, the Dan report clearly says, right, 3 V's are the most critical piece when it comes to digital. What are those 3 V's? We are going back to the industry: voice search, vernacular, and video. This 3 things is going to be the pillar for digital industry in India. So even if you are a small shop, a lot of time we feel, oh, I cannot afford to take a video because it's very expensive. Trust me on this. It is not at all expensive. All you need is a basic phone. Put it out there, put the video, create a TVC, and put it out across the digital medium. So that's the advantage. Something which is really getting momentum is vernacular, right? So regional, India is regional, right? I mean, English speaking population is a percentage, but the regional language, I'll just give you an example. Hindi speaking language people coming online is growing by 200%, whereas English speaking is growing by, Hindi speaking is growing by 200, whereas English is growing by around 25%. So you can imagine the amount of growth is going to happen from vernacular. And last but not the least is the video voice search, right? So all your Alexas of the world or your Siris of the world or Google Homes of the world, that is going to be really changing. Right now, we all are relying heavily on Google search in terms of typing a search query. But go back to our home, ask your kids what they really do. I mean, if I had a chance to take a call, how many people do voice search in this 300 people? I'm sure if there's a young generation, maximum will say voice search, but people like us who will say in the mid 40s and 50s, they'll say, oh, we don't do voice search, we do typing of search, right? So that's how the entire ecosystem is moving. Voice search is really going to be the big. So that clearly shows in this slide. So let's move on to the next slide and see what is brand equity saying. So this is exactly what brand equity says, right? Digital media to reach 5.1 billion, overtake print by 2020-21. I feel this, because of, to a certain extent, I can say because of COVID, this will already cross in 2020 itself, right? Because print is really bleeding when it comes to the current situation. So that is definitely going to happen. And the biggest piece is what we are saying is by KPMG report says, by 2024, 40% of the media spend, the example I gave you of 58,000, that's exactly going to come out of that. 40% is going to be 58,000. So that is the kind of volume digital is going to come on, right? So that is the clearly the reason I'm seeing good amount of people, and I'm glad you guys are joining, because this is really going to help in some or the other form, is my promise. So let's dive into deeper into what all things are there when it comes to digital. Just a second. Yeah. So yeah, this is the graph which clearly shows how it's going to go. So the blue bar over here you see is the digital ad spend. The red line you see is the TV ad spends, and the yellow line you see is the print, right? So net, I'm sure till now you all would have been convinced, saying that no wonder digital is going to be number one in next 1 or 2 years time. So what's different between the digital and traditional? Let's try to understand. Traditional media, I'm sure a lot of advertisers are already out there who's advertising in various traditional medium. Traditional medium, to understand from an advertising perspective also, it's very simple, right? I have a television, I decide, say, a Star Plus, I decide a spot, say, 9 p.m. in the evening, I show my ad, and the viewers will see it. My job is done. Let's take an example of newsprint. I decide to put an ad in Times of India front page, All India. I put an ad, reader sees, the job is done. Same way with radio. Maybe in the morning time, I decide that 10 o'clock in the morning, my spot should play on a particular, say, Radio 1. My ad, this spot is played, listeners are listening, the job is done. Traditional ecosystem is much easier, but digital ecosystem is very complex, right? That's why, I mean, to a certain extent, we all are. So this is when you see the slide, trust me, the people who are not into the advertising industry or digital industry, it will be very tough to understand. This is the digital ad ecosystem, right? So right now, if you see a television and the viewer, it's very simple. But when you go into digital, look at this, the ad travel through various different platforms, and that's when it is shown to a consumer. That's why it is so confusing, but it's my job to make it as simple as possible for you guys. So let's understand the evolution of digital media, right? It started with Yahoo. Then there was Google. I mean, nobody thought search has become the biggest of the piece. Anything you want to do, like it's India, everybody says, right? If you want to know anything, Google is the god of search, right? So you rely on Google. But what happened to Google? Then there was Facebook, and then there was Instagram and all. So Google got YouTube in 2006 May, and take a guess, in 2006, that's around 14 years ago, Google spent $1.65 billion to buy YouTube. When you go and Google it, the whole article says that Google wasted shareholders' money. But tell me something now. Do you think they wasted shareholders' money? They've actually increased it. In fact, last time Sundar Pichai had actually quoted that YouTube is making $15 billion revenue on a year-on-year. That's the kind of growth which YouTube has shown, right? And we all are hooked on to videos, and I'm sure everybody knows about it, right? So, and Facebook bought Instagram. What on earth made Facebook to buy Instagram? Only two things, right? So if Facebook knows that if 100 people are coming on to Facebook, how many of them and what exactly they are doing? So it's a no-brainer. Everybody of the Facebook users are actually playing around with some kind of photos. I see my daughter's photo, my mom likes it, my friend likes it, and I keep putting more and more pictures. So Facebook realized that out of 100 people coming on Facebook, 95% of our audience is more interested in pictures. So it was no-brainer for them to go and buy Instagram. And then another reason why they bought Instagram can be, it can be a direct competition to Facebook, right? And it's clearly seen right now, young people are really going down on Facebook. They're not really spending much time, but they are going on to Instagram. So that strategy of Facebook is really working well. And last but not the least is your WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is one of the biggest piece which Facebook bought for around, I don't know if you guys know, Facebook bought WhatsApp for $22 billion in 2014, 19 billion in shares and $3 billion in cash. A lot of people said at that time that they are wasting shareholders' money. But now, you know, WhatsApp is one of the biggest in terms of sending information, doing business. So many things is actually happening on WhatsApp. So by far, this is the biggest piece. And then one of the things which is really taking the momentum is TikTok. Nobody ever thought, right? So there are a lot of negative things about TikTok. But the way TikTok is growing, there is so much opportunity for brands to really advertise on TikTok. And not only that, I can see right now 424 people out there. You guys can actually create something and put it out there on TikTok, and you can actually make a lot of money. So I'm going to give example as to how you make money on YouTube, on TikTok, or Instagram in the next few slides. Right. So let me go to the next slide, which talks about just a second. Yeah. So the next slide, which talks about why is internet marketing important. This is the only medium where your ad can actually engage with the consumer, right? So in TV, I see an ad, I cannot do anything. Print, I see an ad, I can't do anything. I just saw an ad, maybe I'll reply to it later, or maybe I buy it later. Same way with radio. But digital is the only place when I see an ad, I can click on it, I can put my details the way you guys saw the webinars and you put in your details and all we are here. So there is an engagement which is happening here. The best part, convenience, right? So I don't need to wait for it. Anytime I go online, I can see the ads. I want to show it to my consumer. So if my consumer is interested to buy at 2 o'clock in the night, no problem. They can see my ad and they can buy it whatever time they want to. So convenience, 24/7, I can run my ads. Cost reduction, much cheaper than TV, print, radio. Then personalization, right? This is one of the biggest pieces when it comes to digital. I can actually see the ad which I'm more interested in rather than just seeing any kind of ad. And relationship is something on CRM. Reach, by far, we have currently 450 million unique users in India who are on digital industry, right? So that's the kind of audience you are there. And last but not the least is measurement, because any form of advertising you do online, you can actually measure it, right? So if I put say 5 crores on TV, to a certain extent, I know how much is going to show value. But over here, even if I put 50,000, I know exactly how it's going to show me the results. So that's the biggest advantage. And one important piece about digital ecosystem is I love the most is because Basecamp Digital, for example, my own brand, is a very small brand. But as a small brand, am I interested in advertising in TV or print? Of course, I want to advertise. But can I advertise? No, because I need a lot of money. But then what digital does is, my brand can actually be present in front of the consumer, and that can compete with the brands like Pepsi's and the Sony's and the Z's of the world. So it's getting a level playing field for all the advertisers out there. So there is nothing like big. Digital, you can spend as low as 50 rupees per day to 5 crores a day. So sky is the limit. So that's the biggest advantage which digital has, right? So I'm going to spend a good amount of time on component of digital marketing, because this is one piece which is very critical for all of those guys who are there listening to me. I'm going to spend some time on this slide. What are the different components of, so what makes digital marketing? From a student perspective, I'm going to explain this slide from a student perspective. I'm going to explain this slide from a homemaker perspective, as well as from the business perspective. Let me take through one by one. Web designing, that's website design, right? So that's one. Pay per click, which is nothing but search engine marketing. I'm going to briefly take two slides on each. That's my entire presentation on. Search engine optimization, that's again a very technical word for people who are non-digital. Don't worry, I'll make it as simplified as possible. Email marketing, content marketing, native advertising, affiliate marketing, social media marketing, online reputation management, display advertising, web analytics, and influencer marketing, right? So I'm not saying these are the only components of digital marketing. There are many more, but given the kind of time we have, I thought this is more or less the most critical piece, which I would like to make you understand. And then obviously you can go online and read. Happy to help you with whatever possible information you want. So let's take it from a student perspective. If there is any student in this participant and he or she is interested to make a career in digital, these are the components. Identify which is the one which is most liking for you. Like for example, somebody is interested in search engine marketing, then maybe you should deep dive into search engine marketing and make yourself a career. Somebody is interested in social media marketing, running ads on social media, then you guys have an opportunity to dip down into social media. Online reputation management, like for example, what this basically means is, if I go to KCF social media page and I type a question and somebody from KCF replies, that's part of an online reputation management, right? In a simple way. Display advertising is nothing but all the banner ads you see across various mobile, laptop, desktop, wherever, that's all that. Something which we spoke about measurement, which is web analytics, most critical piece on digital, and influencer marketing, because this is something a lot of students, a lot of youngsters can really make a lot of money by becoming influencer marketers. So net, from student perspective, jump into digital marketing because this is the opportunities lying for you. Start now, and you've seen how it's going to grow. From a homemaker or someone who's not really, doesn't have too much time, good opportunity for them to put your talent out there and make money from all these different components of digital marketing. And now let me tell you from a business perspective. Like a big business, no doubt, you have to advertise on search and social media to make sure people see your ad when they buy it. What about small business? Small business who just have a store in, say, Andheri East, catering only to the East region, no problem at all. There are brands like platforms like Facebook, Google, Instagram. You can actually run an ad and only show an ad who are into a radius of, say, around 25 meters or 30 meters from your shop. So that's the advantage, whether a big house or a small house, there is a lot of cake for everybody when it comes to digital marketing. So what I'm going to do is one by one, I'm just going to take two slides because given a time, I really want to take a lot of questions. So I'm going to quickly go through each of this and I'm going to make you understand. Website design, very basic, whether you want to get in line, basic thing is required. After COVID-19, what I've seen, a lot of small business have said, hey, we need to have a website online so that people can know about us. So very basic website design or web or the web on your mobile site, right? So that's very basic. I'm sure everybody knows it. PPC, right? It's called pay per click. That's a jargon which is used in digital world. In a simple term is nothing, but when you go to Google and search for something, in this case, I've taken, say, Parachute coconut hair oil. And then when I see an ad, that's exactly is part of search engine marketing. So an advertiser, which is here, is a Parachute, giving money to Google. If someone clicks on any of this Parachute bottle, or on the right hand side, I've taken an example, Vatika hair oil. So somebody clicks on that ad, Google is going to charge you, and that user will land onto your website, right? So that's basic about search engine marketing. Very, very critical from a business perspective because the ROI is really strong when it comes to search engine marketing, and even a small company or a big giant rely extensively on search engine marketing. And by far, obviously, who's the main guy? Obviously, Google, by far the biggest. Second search engine is the YouTube, which again belongs to Google, then Yahoo, and then Bing, right? But let's see how the evolution of Google search has happened. From desktop, we all move to something which we spend maximum time is mobile. That's how the search has evolved. And this phrase, Google has really ruled out in a very big way. That's a no-brainer. All of us, be it a voice search, right? We are doing it on mobile, right? But now the next phase which is going to come, which makes me think, is Google really going to win that phase? But let's understand, from desktop, it went to mobile search. But now that search ecosystem is completely moving, and what is moving to the next big thing, which is nothing else your voice search. The entire ecosystem will change. Right now, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, my wife wanted to understand a recipe of a cake. Normally, we go to Google and ask recipe, but what she did, we have an Alexa, which is Amazon Alexa at home. I saying, hey, Alexa, what is the recipe of this? And Alexa gave the complete recipe. So the entire search from Google shifted to Alexa. So something which we need to look out from search perspective is the voice search. And this is how people are really spending time. Somebody will put an alarm for it. Somebody would like to hear the flash news. Somebody would like to hear the songs. Entire ecosystem is happening around voice search. I can actually book an Uber by just telling Alexa, saying, hey, book an Uber for Marine Drive. And Alexa will book an Uber and the Uber will be there for me. It's already started happening. And now Alexa is coming with a screen. So now just imagine if it's come with a screen, there's a direct competition with YouTube. So that's how the entire search ecosystem is going to grow. Let me take on to the next component of digital marketing, which is search engine optimization. Be it any business, be it small or big, I always tell the advertiser, this is something they should rely heavily on because search engine optimization is nothing but an organic. So let me give an example. Here there is an example of Myntra, okay? So when I type Myntra, on the top you can see an ad which is running by Myntra. Below mantra, there is something as organic. What is that? That is nothing but it says, it's nothing but it's organic. When I say organic means what? When I click on the ad on the top, Myntra will be charged by Google for X amount of money because the user has clicked on it. Now imagine if I click on the bottom, which is the one which I have highlighted, Myntra will not be charged a single penny by Google. So why this is important? Because just imagine if I keep coming up on my listing, I don't have to pay any money to Google and I get all the customers free of cost. Technically, it's almost free. And that's what's the part of search engine optimization, right? In a very simple way, it is organic. You don't really pay to Google, and that's what the part of search engine optimization. When you do any kind of search, you see the listing which comes after the ads. That forms the part of search engine optimization. I'm not getting too much into technical because of short of time. I'm quickly going to move. There is a process of search engine optimization you need to follow, which is 365 days, 24/7 job any company needs to do, which is the process I've just shown it on the slide, right? Email marketing, no brainer, very critical for any business because this is the audience you are owning. So that's why it is very critical. Email marketing, and there are various platforms which help you to show how email marketing is really working. So I'm really going to move fast on this because a lot of people, you already know it. One of the piece which I'm going to spend time is content marketing. This is going to be the future of digital marketing, right? Because when I say content marketing is nothing but what you see in the form of image, what you see in the form of article, what you see in the form of graphics, what you see in the form of video. That's form the card of content marketing. It's around $4 billion industry. By 2022, it's going to be around 21 billion plus industry. That's what research says, right? So what are the stages of content marketing? Very simple. You decide what you want to do. Let's take an example. I am a Basecamp Digital, my own training company. I want to let more people come for my training. Maybe my strategy is to create a video. That means creating a video. So I'm going to create a video. I'm going to distribute. What I'm going to distribute on WhatsApp. I'm going to put it on my LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. I'm going to amplify. What does amplify mean? I'm going to pay Google and Facebook to make sure more people will see. Basically, I'm paying Google and Facebook to amplify. And then I measure it, how many people clicked on it, how many people came for my training, and optimize. So this is a form of content marketing in a very simple way. That can be an article format, that can be a video format. But this is the strategy anybody needs to follow. This is something very critical when it comes to the channels of content marketing. So now I created a video of my company where I'm going to put the video, maybe Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium, various articles, Quora. I can put my content across the slides free of cost and by advertising, which is the paid form. What I can get by doing this content over there, I can get leads for people to come for my session. I can get brand awareness, so more people will know about my brand. I can engage with my consumers. I can get sales. I can get customer loyalty. So those kind of stuff. And what are the formats? Format, as I said, right, can be video, can be case studies, can be photos, can be infographic, can be ebook. A simple example, right now we all are getting WhatsApp of newspapers, right? So that's again a newspaper in a content marketing format. So that's the crux of content marketing. But this is very critical from any business perspective, right? Native advertising, again, this is a jargon. A lot of people in the industry are also not aware because it's very confusing, as I said. But I'm going to explain you native advertising in a very simple image format. All of you right now will see an image in front of you, right? Some of you might identify something is there in this image. But since less of time, I'm just going to quickly show there is an owl. I don't know how many of you guys actually saw, but there is an owl which is there, which is camouflage with the wood, which is around the tree. In a very simple way, this is native advertising. So what exactly I'm saying, when an ad blends in the content, that's called native advertising. For example, over here, where Yahoo own a hotel in Dubai, that's an ad. And below that, there is a news article. Both them looks the same. Only it says on the top is sponsored. And on the right hand side, it's an example of Times of India. There is a furniture ad of Urban Ladder. It blends in the content in a very simple way. This is native advertising, right? So that's another component. Let me move on to the other component, which is affiliate marketing. Very, very important component from a business perspective. In a very simple way, affiliate marketing is nothing but just assume that all of us have a house, okay? And you want to put this house for a rent. So when you put this house for a rent, you got a broker. If this broker gets 10 people to see the house, do you pay broker for that? No, you don't pay, right? Because they're not yet bought the house. So the 11th person who came and bought the house, you pay the broker because somebody has bought the house. Affiliate marketing works exactly in the same way. So for example, if you're an e-commerce company and you tell the affiliate guy saying that, hey, you know what, if somebody buys laptop from my site, that's when I'm going to pay you the money. Otherwise, I'm not going to pay the money. In a very simple way, this is what affiliate marketing is. Okay. Biggest platform, which is social media. I'm just keeping watch on my eye. We are around 9 o'clock. Hopefully, we should be on time. Social media marketing. Obviously, these are the various platforms. All of us spend good amount of time on each of this platform. I'm going to briefly take what are the USP of this platform, right? So that's a no-brainer. Like 2 billion people are already on Facebook. 1.9 billion people users are on YouTube. 1.5 billion on WhatsApp. That's the kind of growth this all social media platform is showing. And after the COVID-19, this number has really shooted up. A lot of people are spending more time. So I'm going to quickly show you that. But let's understand there are two sides of social media. One where you marketing side, where you run the ads so that people see it and they enroll or they buy your product. The other side is the page management. I give you that example of KCF. Somebody puts in the detail. It's a new webinar coming up, so a lot of people knows it. So something is that part of the page management, which is nothing but ORM and replying to queries. So I'm going to briefly touch base on each of this. These are just the screenshots of the few ads which you run on Facebook. Depends upon your requirement. There are various options you can run on the Facebook ads, which is really ROI driven. Okay. Now let's understand why is Facebook so amazing. First, obviously, we tell Facebook our audience, I'm male, 40 years, I have daughter, my wife is a chartered accountant. All those information I'm giving to Facebook, right? So that's why it's very critical. And that's why it works really well. But one of the important components of Facebook is custom audience and something called as lookalike audience. I'm going to briefly explain. If I have, say, 10,000 people who have attended my class, I want to reach out to only those 10,000 people. Is it possible on Facebook? Logically, it's not possible because Facebook doesn't share human being people's data. But how it is possible through something called as custom audience? All I need to do is upload the database, like an email ID or the phone number on my Facebook account. And voila, Facebook will tell me how many people have matched with that email ID and phone number. In our case, assume there are 10,000 people, 5,000 are matched. So Facebook will tell me 5,000 people they've identified. They'll not tell me the email ID and phone number, but they'll just tell me the number. So that's something as custom audience. So now based on those custom audience, which is my audience who are on Facebook, Facebook tells me the lookalike audience, similar like-minded people I can target on Facebook. So this is the biggest advantage when it comes to targeting on Facebook, right? So that's where Facebook really makes a lot of money. These are some of the posts when it comes to Facebook, how it really looks. Very important to keep it in mind when you're running an ads on digital. Creative plays a very crucial role because when you're on Facebook, you need to answer two questions: why I care and why I share. Why I care to share and why I care to click. So this is very critical when it comes to Facebook. Make sure your creative is really amazing when you're putting out on Facebook. I'm usually going to jump on Twitter. Similar way, lot of advertising options are available. Targeting is the critical piece when it comes to advertising. Twitter has a lot of such things. Whether you are advertising for sales or you are advertising for awareness, opportunities out there on Twitter. I can spend 50 rupees or 500 rupees or 5,000 rupees, completely up to you. These are the various advertising options available on Twitter. It's very simple. You can run the ad, big firm or the small company, right? Again, I'm going to touch base on Snapchat briefly. Why I'm touching on the major part of the Snapchat is this is the audience, this is the targeting. So when I say measurement in digital, when I see an ad on print or a TV, I don't know. Maybe I see a L'Oreal hair color. I'm not the TG, but I see that ad on TV, so that's a waste. But when it comes to digital, I can decide the gender, language, what kind of phone they are using, what kind of carrier they have, the Vodafone idea. That's what's available on Snapchat. And young audience spend good amount of time when it comes to Snapchat. Like for example, these are the kind of ads you see on Snapchat and how brands use the platform in a very innovative way, right? So this is how they create a filter. So young audience who love to enroll with the filters, that's how the brand awareness increases and that's how they actually end up buying the product over a due course of time. So for brand awareness and all, Snapchat works amazing, right? So that's just an example of Snapchat work. Briefly touch base on ORM, that's online reputation management. Very simple. This is one of the biggest pieces every company needs to understand, because this is your driveway to the audience, right? If you do something wrong, your brands will suffer. So what are you on internet? What your client perceive you is the part of ORM. In a very simple way, if somebody is having a problem, they put it out there on their page. It is your job to reply to that page and help resolve the issue. So this is by far the biggest opportunity for you all, a lot of youngsters to start their career in. So what is the role of online reputation management? Maximize your positive feedback, create a good brand identity, minimize and eliminate the negative feedback. One example that comes to my mind is by far Maggie. Maggie has done a brilliant job when it comes to managing ORM. Zomato as one company is really doing a great job for managing ORM, right? They're really smart in the way they are managing, and they're getting the positive brand identity. So that's more from the ORM perspective. Very simple, display advertising, everybody knows, it's a no-brainer. Any kind of banner ads across, you see it on your mobile apps or the website, that forms part of the display. Here the ad of ICICI Bank, you see, that's the banner advertising. That's one part of components of digital marketing. Most important piece is web analytics. When you advertise on Google or Facebook, you get some amount of information from Facebook and Google. They don't really share any other information. But when a user clicks on the ad and comes onto your website, that's what the most critical piece. So all the information about the user, you can actually connect and get it from something called as web analytics. It's a free tool by Google. It's called Google Analytics. It tells you how many people came on my site, what they did, which page they went to, what they clicked on it, which video they watched. Those are kind of information is so critical. Now just imagine if you're Amazon. The amount of information Amazon can get from web analytics is, what are the people buying? Are they buying the organic or non-organic? What is the brand they're really going? So all this is so critical information for any company. So web analytics, be a big brand or a small brand, very, very critical for the brand, right? To understand. And this is how the analytics report shows you. It's a real-time basis. Like right now, I can see 422 people already, 419 people already on live. Same way, web analytics gives a lot of information for a brand, which is very critical for running the campaigns in the future, right? Influencer marketing, a lot of people out there, they are making tons of money. I'm just going to give one example of how people are really making money. Nothing, influencer marketing is nothing. It's a very simple thing. For example, I have 1 lakh followers on my Instagram, and I go to a brand and I say, hey, you know what? I have 1 lakh followers. Do you want me to put your brand photo or an image over there? And those 1 lakh people will see. That's exactly how advertising works. So in a very simple form, it's influencer marketing, where you pay the influencer for putting your brand's picture or advertising on your behalf, right? And these are some of the examples. Like this is the Wolverine Logan movie, right? So nobody will even think this is an ad. It looks as if somebody has uploaded it on their site, on their Twitter handle, but actually it's a paid activity. And what I'm trying to say is, there are a lot of young influencers out there. This lady has 12,000 followers. She's an influencer. Pooja has X amount of followers. She's an influencer. So there is a lot of opportunity for young audience to really use this opportunity and be an. So mostly you're passionate about something, you can be an influencer, right? So that's the advantage of influencer. This is where it goes. Look at this. Ronaldo signed $1 billion lifetime influencer with Nike. $1 billion is what Nike had paid the Ronaldo to be their influencers. So anything Ronaldo will talk about the new shoes of Nike, a lot of people go and buy that just because we all follow Ronaldo. That's how the brand, so he himself is like one platform, right? So that's the growth of influencer marketing, and it is here to stay after TikTok for sure, right? Let's understand from a job perspective. Right now, obviously, it's very tough from the current COVID perspective, but the way digital is growing, definitely huge amount of manpower required in terms of people getting into digital. Either you're a fresher or you're in TV, print, radio, or any of the industry, you want to get into digital, definitely there is a lot of cake for everybody when it comes to digital marketing. And these are the roles we have kept it so that somebody wants to know what are the, so if you're a sales guy, you want to do a brand advertising, performance advertising, you want to be a publisher, strategy, finance, creative, there is huge opportunity for everyone when it comes to digital marketing. But let's see now how individuals are really making a lot of money. Because this is something I keep hearing from a lot of people, right? Here is a housewife who has built 10 crore business from an investment of just 50,000 rupees. How she did it? By just WhatsApp. Just imagine the growth of business, a 10 crore business by a only small investment of 50,000 rupees. That's how the growth is. Here is another example. There's all the women out there. Obviously, Tarla Dalal is very famous, but the rest, I don't know if you guys really know. There's on the third one, which is Kabita's Kitchen. She has a very big channel on YouTube, which is related to cooking. She makes crazy amount of money month on month basis only from Google. Here it clearly says, right? इतना तो बना देती हूँ जो top IT top executive की salary होती है. They're making lakhs and lakhs of money by just following the passion. If you like something, put it out there. A lot of people out there who want to see that, and then you start making money. So there is no looking back. So this is how digital is giving opportunity not only for the youngsters, the homemaker, a lot of various people can actually make a lot of money, right? And if that was not enough, look at this. This 7-year-old kid is making $22 million a year only on YouTube. What this guy does, he only unboxes the toy and he tells about the toy. That's it. So he's making, that's the kind of money, $22 million. I'm not sure how many company makes that kind of money, even a small or mid-size, but that's this one 11-year-old kid is making that kind of money. So imagine sky's the limit when it comes to digital marketing. And just give an example of how with the COVID, what the situation is changing. So this is just an example with one of our company did it. They've actually made entire event, which normally happens, the housing events, the home expo, which happens in hotels or some what do you say, some ground or something. Everything is getting digital. The entire event was digital, like the Great Indian Time Property Festival. You select the city, you decide the property, you give your detail, and you go and buy a property. So everything is shifting after the COVID. I'm saying this is a good trend I'm going to see after the COVID-19. And I'm just going to briefly talk about how digital marketing is impacting after COVID-19. Let's take a guess. Time on smartphone. All of us are at home, nothing to do. What we do, we are hooked onto your phone. Clearly shows, right? 1.5 hours has increased by all on an average users' time has increased by 1.5 hours daily. Be it a news, what we all do? We say we hear news, we go to chat, we chat with our friends, we are on webinars right now, we do social networking, a lot of people are on gaming, video on demand, Netflix of the world. Look at that, percentage of users and time spent. Both have increased drastically. That's the kind of growth, right? Because nothing to do. And here is the who's taking the maximum pie. Obviously, Facebook. We spend good amount of time on Facebook. We spend good amount of time on Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, because you want to get news. Net, COVID-19 is really showing impact on this or the platform in terms of the time spent increase, right? And what's happening? Government is coming out with something saying that how digital is being used to reach out in such a crisis scenario. So no brainer, right? Even LIC is telling you to go online and use all the different formats in terms of making the payment. Go cashless, go digital. So that's exactly what forms the part of digital advertising. And how it's accelerating the transformation, clearly says COVID-19 gives a boost to digital industry in the way the entire everybody is spending time. Here's another example. Online learning. Right now, I guess we are doing that kind of learning, right? It's clear example where there are around 400 people exactly understanding how digital is transforming in this current situation. And in fact, a lot of what is happening is because of the COVID-19, a lot of people are forced to use payment, which is a wallet, maybe a Paytm or a PhonePe or a Freecharge, because hey, I don't want to give money in cash. I better use Paytm. I'm not interested in going online and watching Netflix or Amazon Prime, but I don't have anything. I'll go. So what is happening is it is given a thumb rule, right? If you follow something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So habit of people is going to change. So after COVID-19, this is how digital is going to grow. Several schools, this is the biggest boost when it comes to digital. I mean, my daughter every day, 2 to 3 hours, and I'm sure all of your kids are actually online on Zoom. Nobody ever thought. Now even that young girl who's just 11 years knows how to use Zoom and share their knowledge with the team, teachers, and learning. So that itself is a big thing which is happening. And nevertheless, what is the biggest? Zoom meetings have just skyrocketed when it comes to using. Like right now, we all are using Zoom. So net, what is happening is all these industries is going to get good amount of boost because of the way the digital industry is. For example, e-commerce is really going to get a lot of momentum. A lot of people ask me, what is my perspective after the digital, COVID situation? E-commerce business will definitely boost. Online learning, right now what we are doing, 1 to 400, that's definitely going to get boom because everybody is getting used to it. They're aware about the new system. So that's definitely going to be big. The industry which will impact the most is your malls, your multiplex to a certain extent, because after COVID-19, I'm not too sure I want to go and sit next to someone that I can sit in my house and watch Netflix rather than going into cinema where I don't even know who's that person. So the mindset of the people will change. Hygiene factor, the way we started using consumer durable products like your soaps and hand wash and everything, it's going to change. And last but not the least, automobiles. I won't be surprised where they will be conducting the shows online rather than doing it in event, which is in the ground. Actually, will be shifting online. That's something which is definitely going to happen. What will happen to the malls? I'm going to create something which is the 360-degree. My entire shop will be seen online. So I don't really need to go there. I can just click on it. I can see it and I can order it. So that's how the entire ecosystem is changing. So after COVID-19, right? So next, this is what I wanted to show. And actually, I'm on time exactly around 9:16. But if, I would like to spend more time on the questions. So if you have any questions, so by far what we've covered is how it evolved, digital evolution of digital media. What are the important, why is internet marketing important, components of digital marketing, by far the most critical piece, roles, and the way the COVID-19 has played. So if you guys have any questions, I'm open to questions. I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah. Can't hear you, Hiren, you are on mute.
Yeah, okay.
Hi.
Sorry for that. Thank you so much, Pritesh. That was really a vast topic, wide topic, many aspects to that. So friends, we would really invite as many questions as possible. We'll try and address as many of them. You can please ask them in the Q&A section. I saw a few people were trying to post it on the chat section, but unfortunately we will be taking the questions on the Q&A section. So please go there. So while we are waiting for a few more questions to queue up, this is an important time to take the vote of thanks. Thanks so much, Pritesh, founder and coach of Basecamp Digital, for coming here and explaining such a vast topic in such a structured manner. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jigar Chheda, Executive Director, Institutional Equity Sales at Axis Capital, for arranging this webinar. Thank you, Hiren Gogri, co-founder of Team One Technologies, for technical supervision. Thank you, Vivek Thakkar, Boomerang Consulting, for executing this webinar. We'd also like to thank Ritesh Poladia for sharing so many of these beautiful KCF infographics that we keep circulating, which I'm sure many people have seen this. And above everything, thanks to the audience for attending this webinar. Without y'all, attending in such great numbers, it really is heartening and gives us a lot more confidence. And we understand that these are some of the real issues we are trying to help, a wider audience to address during these times. So you are all requested to follow the Kutch Corporate Forum on Facebook and other social media, and stay updated about our upcoming webinars, as we have been organizing quite a few of them in the last 2 or 3 weeks. The social media links will be shared with you via the SMS. Once again, I'll request everyone to queue up questions in the Q&A section. And wow, we've got like a huge number of questions. So we'll start. So what we'll do is I'll look at the questions and shoot out the questions, Pritesh, and you can keep answering them.
Sure.
Okay. So the first question: branded or non-branded keywords, which work more for PPC?
Okay, very interesting questions. I would say both are very critical, because if you don't go for a branded keyword, then trust me, your competition is actually waiting to bid on that keyword. So for example, very simple thing, right? Assume Basecamp Digital, right? So I'm not going to say, assume I don't go for the branded keyword of Basecamp Digital, because that's everybody will know and I will come there. Now just imagine if my competition is actually come and somebody searching Basecamp Digital and my competition comes and bid on that keyword, that ads will show on the top. And my listing will be shown after the ad. So branded keyword is definitely, as an advertiser, you need to make sure you go after branded keywords also, so that whenever somebody is searching, you're always on the top, and competition cannot take it away.
Okay, thank you. So we have quite a few questions related to real estate. I'll try and club them together. There are 2 or 3 aspects to it, so but I'll still try and club them together. First is, how will digital help in real estate sales for each budget and category and each location? That's one. Second
Sorry,
is,
your voice is not clear. If you can just repeat it.
okay, I'll repeat the question. I'll repeat the question.
Yeah.
It's all related to real estate. There are about 3 or 4 questions linked to this. In fact, yeah. So how will digital help in real estate sales for each budget category and each location? Second is, does commercial property lease or selling help from LinkedIn? There's a similar question. LinkedIn, does it help leasing or selling of commercial property? Yeah.
So yeah, definitely very good advantage from a real estate. So we worked. Myself has a lot of experience when it comes to real estate. Real estate is one of the medium every brand needs to go after them. Like let me give a very simple example. Maximum time we have seen real estate rely heavily on print because that's how the medium has always worked. But digital works in a very different way, right? You can actually reach out to your audience who's going to be really interested in your property, and that's why. And you get the leads you are really interested for, right? So you can pick up the phone and reach out to them, be it Facebook, be it Google, or be it any other platform. You can actually advertise and run a performance-based advertising. When I say performance, means when I'm running an ad, I'm expecting people to fill in the lead and get me the details. That's exactly what happens when I put an ad on Newsprint. I expect people to call upon the number so that you can take that number and make sure they convert and come to your place so that they actually see the product. So that real estate definitely makes sense from a performance perspective. Coming to LinkedIn, LinkedIn normally works out to be very expensive. So on the one hand, suggest if you have a 10 crore property or a 4 crore or a 5 crore property, real estate, I mean, LinkedIn obviously makes sense because the person who's going to see that ad is going to be the guy on LinkedIn. For example,
sorry, excuse me, Pritesh, the voice is cracking up a little bit. It's breaking a little bit. Maybe you can just last 2 sentences you can repeat maybe.
Sure. So I'm saying LinkedIn is very critical because
Pritesh, I believe your Bluetooth ka battery is quite low. That's why the voice is cracking.
Just
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, but a bit louder, please.
Sure. So I'm saying LinkedIn perspective is very critical for real estate. If I have say 8 crore property, LinkedIn definitely makes sense because I can actually reach out to the board of directors. I can reach out to the investors. I can reach out to the Unilever CEO because I know they are the kind of audience who spend time on LinkedIn. So when I have a big high value property, LinkedIn definitely makes sense. Be it a commercial property, of course it makes sense because you can reach out to the people in the companies who are going to be on LinkedIn. So the guy who's taking care of renting of commercial property or buying on commercial property, you can actually target them on LinkedIn with that communication. So, but what really critical need to keep in mind, the value of lead.
Pritesh, you'll have to speak up a little bit louder. The voice is dropping off a little bit.
Okay, no problem. So what I'm saying is the LinkedIn cost of your lead will be very high compared to the other platforms, but definitely works when it comes to real estate also. Yeah. You guys can hear me, right? Because it's full volume over here.
No, we can't hear you, Pritesh, unfortunately.
It is a bit low as compared to what it was earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because everything is full here in terms of speakers, everything is full. Can you hear me now?
It's a little better, but maybe is your microphone volume adjustable?
Yeah, it's adjusted. It's 100%. I put it on 100%. Shall I connect my headphones again and try?
Maybe.
Because I still have battery. Let me just try. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
This is better. This is better. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next question. We should spend more on SEO or Google AdWords?
Very, very important question. As far as SEO is concerned, you are not really spending that much amount of money. I'll give a very simple example. If you have 5 crore Google ad spend, SEO will not be costing more than 10 lakhs rupees because there is a small team who's managing that. And the fruit of SEO will go for a long way. Whereas in terms of SEM, you have to keep giving it to Google to continue. The moment you stop, your advertising stops, your revenue stops, right? So I would always say that it's both are important, but really put a lot of efforts on SEO because it goes a very long way.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions and many of them are very specific. What we'll do is we'll try and first take up as generic questions as possible, like this one. And before we get into specifics, because we have a limitation of time, we'll try and address as many as we can. We will not be able to answer all. Sorry about that, audience.
No problem.
Okay, so which top 5 brands have been created through digital marketing only in the last 5 years, and what percentage has to be digital in overall marketing mix?
So when I say top brands, every brand, I mean, you name a smallest of the brand, like for example, say Belgium Waffle, right? The brand is out there because youngsters already know about it. That's have done only on digital perspective. Then be a brand like even the Netflix of the companies, right? Netflix as a brand has become big only by doing huge amount of ads on digital because they don't really spend too heavily on TVs of the world. Obviously, I'm not saying that it is against TV and only digital. It's always critical to have both digital and TV together, right? So that's very critical. And top of mind, I don't really remember, but I'm saying it has to be both together and not only digital, not only, but digital is something which gives you fruit for a longer period of time.
Okay. This is a very interesting question. Many people end up buying the pro services nowadays to avoid ads. Now this is increasing. So what happens to digital advertising in that case?
So very interesting. So that actually gives me a scary situation also because that will lose out all our revenue. But trust me, a very small number of people, especially countries like India, I know my Netflix account has been shared by 2 of my friends because they chip in a bit. So that is where the issue is. So a huge amount of people are coming into where there is that theory of fanatics versus followers, right? So fanatics in cricket are the one who understand the cut drive or the way Virat Kohli has really hit that six. Whereas followers like Virat Kohli ने बहुत मस्त six मारा. How, कहाँ मारा, cover drive में मारा, leg में मारा, कहाँ मारा, not interested. So fanatics are the very small piece. Same way over here, it's going to be a very small pie, which is really going to be the people who are going to put it. So technically, it's not going to be a big issue. The small portion will go for pro.
Okay. Okay. So we have a lot of people, small businesses, and particularly in retail segment. So this is again a very relevant question. For a small Kirana shopkeeper, the digital marketing awareness that they can get, can they target their limited area client base is something they would love to do, but how is the question?
Yes, definitely you can do that. In fact, if you know, there are a lot of bakeries, a lot of small shops or a lot of hotels, advertise only the small region where they are available. It is possible through all the platforms, be it Google. Like for example, when you Google, you say shops near me or cafes near me. So when somebody is searching, your ads can appear there. Plus on Facebook also you can do it. And just to share, it's a very simple way. You go online, just type how to run ads on Google or how to run ads on Facebook. There are tons of videos out there. And trust me on this, right now we are on lockdown. If you start today, I can bet in next 5 days, you will be able to run an ad on Facebook or Google.
Great. Again, a very relevant question. What are the digital strategies for manufacturing and B2B oriented businesses can use?
That's something I keep getting for, and it's a very important question. So when I say B2B, right? So there is an example I'll give it. There's a friend of mine from ISB. He actually jumped into business. He was working with GE. He wanted to do something online, and he clearly said that what I can do it on Facebook. I said, your product is really boring, right? It was like more of a meter or something is nobody's interested. Why you want to do it on Facebook? I said, you can do digital, but rather doing Facebook and XYZ, do it on India Mart. Do it something which is more of B2B related, where your industry people go and read, advertise there and see how things will change. So, and trust me on this, he actually started on India Mart and various other sites, and suddenly they saw a big spike into the business because that's exactly where people are coming. Like for example, if somebody in digital wants to show me an ad of a platform, LinkedIn or some places or the site which adexchanger.com, which 90% of the people over here might not even know. But I go there, and if I see an ad there, very high chance of me talking to that company because I'm into that. So that's again B2B. And in B2B, what really works is the content really plays a very crucial role when it comes to B2B marketing more than the advertising or anything. Content marketing will play a very crucial role when it comes to B2B advertising. It can be in form of article, it can be form of image, or it can be form of video.
Okay, thank you. What should be the budget to be kept aside if a small business is targeting to build a fan following for their Facebook, Insta and Google page of around 10,000 a year? And what should be the ideal frequency of posts on FB, Insta or Google to generate fan base organically without paying?
Okay, very, very important question. I would never suggest you to go after fans, right? Because, for example, assume by spending 10,000, you got 10,000 fans. How those 10,000 fans going to help you, right? So gone are the days when people were going after fans. Rather than you concentrate on the audience who are interested in your brand or interested in your business, be it in terms of awareness or you want, like for example, if you are a shop and you are, assume you are a bakery, you want more people to come into your bakery which is resides in Bandra, then run an ad so that more people comes to your bakery, rather by giving them an option of get direction or some your address or something. Fans will not really help. So I would always urge for the brands to go after the advertising in terms of getting the people onto your shop rather than just getting fans, because fans is technically of no use on Facebook right now. And in terms of organic, ideal way is to go for organic. There are no thumb rule per se as to how many posts I need to have, but it's a very important thing, something called as conversation calendar in social media, which you need to apply. When I say conversation calendar, it is again trial and error basis. If some company follows a particular conversation calendar, not necessarily it will work well for you. What a conversation calendar means, when should I post? Okay, what time of day? Which day is the right? So you do that, try it for your business, post twice or thrice in a week, post 5 times in a week, see the trend. Like, oh, post on Thursdays always gives me good momentum or good engagement. Post on Saturdays and Sundays really don't give me that kind of momentum. These kind of business. Accordingly, learn and do it for your own business. And when I say conversation calendar, it has to be for Facebook, it has to be for Instagram, it has to be for Twitter and all. So that is very critical for even a small or a big branch to follow.
Okay, thank you. Please share some information of Google AdSense, how to use it.
So Google Ads is the product. It's a really vast to really teach someone on Google, but I would just say it's a very simple thing. You just need to create an ad account. I'm happy to share links which somebody can go online. And in fact, I would also share some of the videos where somebody can go online and just go through that video and start creating your own ad. And when I say AdSense is nothing, it's a very simple format. You need to create your own Google account by going on to Google Business Manager. That's called Google Ads. And once you create an ad, you need to go and define your business related keywords, put it out there. Google will tell you what are the bid rates going after for those keywords. And based on that bid rate, you run those keywords and run, when I say swipe your card and run those campaigns. It's a very vast, to be honest, I cannot explain it on the webinar. But I'm happy to share the links where they can go and read those videos, see the tutorial, and they can actually run on their own.
Okay. So maybe what we'll do is some of these links, maybe we can you can share it and we'll post it back to all the attendees.
We'll do that
so that they can get it from there.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah. Next question: can we drive ROI for each digital marketing effort?
Actually speaking, digital is always
the question is, can we derive ROI for each digital?
Yes, you can derive for each of the platform, and that is a very, very important question somebody has asked, because when you say ROI, so for example, assume I'm running an ad on Facebook, I'm running an ad on Google, I'm running an ad on Times of India, and I'm running an ad on, say, Daily Hunt. These are the 4 places I'm running an ad. Okay, and each of this place I'm putting 50,000 rupees. How I will drive an ROI? For example, if Facebook, I'm getting a lot of clicks, but zero conversion as far as someone opting for my course. So that means it is not really working. Whereas Daily and Google is really working well for me. So the platform-wise ROI is very critical, and then put all your leftover money on those platforms which is really showing you results. So platform, very, very good question somebody has asked. Platform-wise ROI is the most critical piece any business, big or small, need to follow.
Okay. So here's again an interesting question. Sir wanted to know what is the Google SEO and Facebook correlation? And according to you, what is more important, SEO or social media content? So earlier we had a question on SEO and spend, and this is on SEO versus social media content.
Yeah. So the SEO is for Google, which is termed as organic. Whereas Facebook content, right? Social media management. When I was showing the Facebook slide, I said about ORM, replying to queries. That's your part of your organic on the Facebook side. Like KCF is posting something on Facebook, forms the part of organic on KCF, right? The same way somebody searching for a webinar on digital, assume, and then they see it on organic of Google, which is an SEO, that's the forms the part. So both are similar when it comes to content. So for content, for Facebook can be an image, can be a video, whereas on content for SEO will be keywords. So both are organic from that perspective. And both are important, to be honest.
Okay. Again, some really interesting questions. So there are many aggregators like Make My Trip for, hotel listing, etc. So how is the role of aggregator and what is the correlation and how it will change in the digital marketing era?
So if this question is more from the person who is into the travel industry, they have a good way, because what happens is you don't have to rely on one Make My Trip, right? You have different options like an Airbnb or various other options. So aggregators will always be there, because from a consumer perspective, it makes life much easier for the consumer, right? Why a consumer go to Make My Trip? Because I get different options. So if you see that option, example I gave you of Times Property Festival, it was nothing but an aggregation. So rather than just going to Hiranandani side and figure out, there is one stop shop where I get all the information, what I want, and I go for it. From a consumer perspective, it's a brilliant thing. From a business perspective, aggregator is going to be the long term. It will continue. Like for example, Amazon or Flipkart is also an aggregator. It's a discovery platform, but an aggregator platform. So that is definitely going to be there and going to stay.
Okay, so there's one kind of extension or follow up to one of the earlier question about pro this thing. There are also a lot of ad blockers. So
Yeah.
ad blocker, so how do you beat that, and how that can affect the whole digital marketing?
So you're right. So there are a lot of ad blockers. So what happens is, so for example, if you go to a particular news site and I have an ad blocker, I'll not be able to see anything unless I remove that ad blocker, right? Current scenario, if you ask me, that's exactly what's happening. And I want to watch news, I just go and say, remove, let me see the ad because I want to watch news. That is the current scenario which is happening right now. But things are going to change. I'm just going to, because somebody has a very, great question, no doubt about that, because right now the entire ecosystem is based on cookie. I might be a bit technical here, but a cookie base. When I say cookie base means what? I go to timesofindia.com, a cookie through say Chrome, a cookie is dropped on my laptop, and through that some information about me as a user is getting captured with Times of India. Like for example, I click an auto ad, I read an article about auto or a real estate, or I clicked on an FMCG. They don't know me as a person, but a user ID, right? So that's happening because of cookie. But what is Google has told recently is that by 2021, they're going to remove cookie. If they remove cookie, that means all this publisher cannot do anything, because they will not have any data about me as a user. And that is why it is very critical for every company to have their own first party data. When I say first party data means what? Times of India or an ET have information about me as a user is very critical. So we have 2 years time to really bridge that gap and use that. So that is how the entire ecosystem is going to change. So ad blocker will not really work, and future it's going to change. So first party data for any brand is very critical.
So this is in a way a follow-up to one of the previous question about retail.
Yeah.
Hi Pritesh, SEO, digital marketing, etc. seem to be more complex for shop owners. And how do we have sufficient expertise to cater to them? And so one is me learning, but are there agencies? Are there some other online tools available to help me out? Or how do I do that?
Yeah, so the thing is very great thing. You don't need to really do it yourself, because your core is to manage your own business and grow that. But then you can give it to an expert. There are various agencies who provide this. There are a lot of freelancers who provide this. And after COVID-19, trust me, freelancer is going to be one of the biggest piece which is going to happen globally. I can do freelancing rather than working with one company. I myself can be a freelancer and work with 10 clients, right? So there are various freelancers who provide SEO. And I've seen freelancers can charge you as bare minimum by say $5,000 to 10,000-12,000 bucks, helps you to do SEO. But what is critical in this term is, at least you should know how this is done. And there are various information available out, because they should not fool you when they are selling the business to you. So that is very critical, whether it be the Facebook ads or anything. Make sure you have at least some information to go through it. And I'll give you a very simple tip. If you are meeting somebody in next 5 minutes who's going to come and pitch to you about SEO, what we normally do, we go to Google and search what is SEO, and we get 1,000 links, and I need to identify which is the link which is really. So I don't have that much time. What I do is, I don't know how many of you guys are on Pinterest. Download Pinterest and create an account. Go to Pinterest and say how SEO works. In one image, you will get an information which will be fairly good enough for you to talk to that person when they are coming to you for any kind of. And I'm just giving an example of SEO. Download Pinterest and say how Facebook AdWords. Download Pinterest and say how Facebook Google AdWords. All I'm trying to say, in just one image, you can see good amount of information rather than going to various links. So that should be helpful when you're meeting such kind of people. Yeah.
People want to know a little bit more about LinkedIn. We've discussed Facebook, we've discussed Insta, etc.
Right.
A little bit more about LinkedIn, of course, more B2B, but.
So LinkedIn, I mean, obviously there are a lot of like mobile app ecosystem, a lot of things I couldn't. Time limit was the biggest, but I'm glad somebody asked for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very critical. Why advertisers don't really put money on LinkedIn? Because it is very expensive. When I say expensive is, if I am running an ad on Facebook, say for example, it will cost me 40 rupees or 80 rupees. The same ads on LinkedIn will cost me 250 rupees or 600 rupees or 500 rupees, because the value of ads on LinkedIn is very expensive. So it depends upon what kind of business you are into. Based on that, you need to really go and run the ads on LinkedIn. And why is LinkedIn critical is because the moment somebody leave a job and go somewhere else, the first thing they're going to do is they're not going to update on Facebook or Instagram. They're going to go and update on LinkedIn. And that's why it is very critical. I gave that example of real estate. So if a real estate has a property, then they know that a VP or a senior manager or the entrepreneur or the SMB owner can be the TG. I can target with those keywords and make sure only those people will see. Because if I'm an executive, I'm not going to write as an MD of a company, right? So I'll not see the ad. So that's why LinkedIn is more targeting perspective for a high branded or a B2B kind of clients.
Again, an interesting question. What content can we put up on social media now during this situation? Seeing same or similar posts on safety tips, etc., and that and of that type is too monotonous now. So, how do I break the monotony?
Yeah, I'm glad. So, like, there's something like I follow MTV so that I see music related information, and suddenly a band will show me an ad or something about COVID. That's where the issue is, right? So, bang on. So, right now, you stick to what you are doing, you continue what you are doing, because that's exactly the ideal, right? So the moment, how you break the monotony, you don't share those tips. You share what is related to your own business. And that's exactly how you're going to break the monotony. So don't jump it just because rest of the people are jumping. But yes, somewhere you can get some information, but not necessarily to get into safety tips or anything. You just talk about your own business and how it's impacting, or start sharing information about your business or that industry, which will cater more people to follow you.
So again, okay. So what are the core areas in digital marketing that one should must know, and digital marketing in future? So what's the future of digital marketing in in coaching, business, education, etc. And which area is most important?
So all the areas, to be honest, so this question I'm thinking they've asked from the perspective that how can they get audience. As far as getting the audience, be it what kind of business are you into. If it's a young generation, definitely your Facebooks of the world, your Googles of the world, or if it's a regional and ShareChat as an app, or your Instagrams of the world, or a daily hunt. So there are various TikTok of the world. There are various platforms which are available you can cater to because all the different kinds of 13 to 25, 25 to 40, 40 to 50, all the audience are available on all these different platforms. So no problem, you decide your platform, go after it, start spending, learn from that thing, whether Facebook worked or Instagram worked, and then start spending more money on that. And from a coaching perspective, what is happening is webinar right now we are doing is the best, right? I don't need a real estate. I don't need to pay a rent. At the same time, I can cater to a huge audience. So if I have a classroom and I charge say 20,000 rupees for 20 people, now suddenly I can reduce that to 5,000 rupees or 6,000 rupees and I can get 40 people and do this kind of session which we are right now doing. So future is going to move towards digital for sure. So if you have a coaching class, now my daughter who's 8-year-old, she knows how to use Zoom, right? And we all knew use Zoom from last 10 years or 6 years. But they know it. So those are the audience is going to be your coaching class audience in next few years. And they are already on digital. So don't expect them to go into those classrooms rather than start creating something online.
Okay. We'll have the last two questions now.
Sure.
I am into warehousing traditional business. As I cannot sell products because of only store it for someone else. What can I do to take the following business digital? And I've already put it online via Google. It's Google Maps, basically. Someone has put it.
So that's a good thing they've done as far as Google Maps and Google Business. That's something when somebody's searching for it, they really need to come to you. I'm not too sure what is the product of that manufacturing is. If I would know the
warehousing, they're into warehousing.
Okay.
And they're right now warehousing for many other retailers or other product manufacturers or traders.
Okay. So for them, as I rightly said, for you, digital is very clearly, you can go to the B2B sites, right, which is related to your industry and run the ads over there. Let people see it over there and on and off. You can post it on LinkedIn also because it's all free of cost. When you post on LinkedIn, they're not going to charge you. They'll charge you only when you run ads. So go after the B2B sites into your own industry and start running ads there. So that's how you will get more different audience.
How can I put the last question? Sorry, there's one more question. So someone wanted to repeat the word Pinterest. So for the benefit of someone earlier, you had mentioned about Pinterest. So maybe you can spell it out or something.
It's Pinterest. Somebody's typed in, that's actually the right Pinterest. Pinterest. Somebody just typed it, right?
Pinterest,
so Pinterest, yeah. So that's an app which everybody needs to download because that's one of the best apps when it comes to knowledge. Yeah. Good amount of information you can capture from that app.
The last question, slightly from a different point of view, how can I put ads on my website or blog and generate revenue out of it?
That's something, it's very like an influencer. Somebody wants to make money. So very critical when you want to run ads. So there are certain products. Yeah, that's the right. Sorry to bug, but yeah, the Pinterest. Somebody wrote